The thing I was going to say, which I remembered,
Nice.
this is an interesting topic that it could be a short topic, but it's also something we could expand on. We only have a few minutes left here. I think one of the most underrated philosophical things that people do in record making, and the best people do a lot, and everybody below them, you know, less experienced or less successful, I think the best people go on their first instinct, and create situations where the first instinct gets executed quickly. And it was really interesting what you just said, because I think about this with songwriting all the time. The first instinct, the first lyric that comes out with the melody is the vast majority of the time the thing that you should go with, because that there's something emotional and subconscious that's happening. And even if it doesn't make the great song, it's much more likely to make the great song. And all of the great songs I've been involved with, they don't necessarily happen quickly in the entirety of the whole record, because sometimes production takes a long time. Sometimes you spend a lot of time refining lyrics or whatever. But the initial burst, the initial emotional thing is almost always a first instinct thing. And some of the best writers I've worked with, if they're not getting lyrics and melody quickly on something, we're just wasting time. Like, why are we wasting time on we don't have a hook and a concept and an emotional core. We should do something else. It's interesting what you said about you don't like listening to a rough mix unless you have the ability to quickly take action on it, which is the mix is set up and you're ready to listen, because that first instinct is so important. I don't know if you've thought about it this way, but I think it applies across the board. It applies to me with production. I spend try to do it early in the morning, or first thing when I get in, is whatever I've been working on the previous night, I'll bring it up and just power through 10 or 15 minutes, because the first instinct in the day of hearing something fresh, I always get great ideas on it. I always edit quickly. I throw the right parts on. I think it's, anyway, the idea of,
well, depending on how you set up your day, have you exercised? Have you meditated? There's a certain time of the day that is the best time for your ears to be working.
That's true,
right?
too.
So,
that's true too. But it can be
mix that with instinct. Yeah. Like that's
how did you get to the point where you made that decision of, I don't want to listen to the rough mix until I can work on it? Did you discover that?
Oh, that's a very childish thing. Meaning, like I'm eager, you know, like when I hear a song, I want to touch it, right? So that just remained. I've kind of always been that way, because still to this day, we talked about this a lot. Like, it's hard for me to listen to modern music because I feel like I could do better on a lot of things that come out. And I'm not trying to be a dick. It's like when I listen to 60s and 70s music, I don't think I could do better. Like, it's just out. What am I going to do better in that jazz performance on a live recording at Capitol Studios? You know, there's no way to improve it. So when I hear a record, my first thought is, what can I do to this? You know? And that sounds like childlike to me. It sounds like playtime. This is my way of playing.
Which, by the way, is I think a truism as well. The idea of removing all the context of the craft and the skill, and think about all the things I know and what are the techniques. You know, I always use the boxer.
We talked about this. I use the same plugins. I don't use any technique. It's like it's all ingrained now.
I always like.
Anyway, you were going to go off on something with body.
I just like the boxer analogy of, like, you know, whether it's martial arts or boxing or whatever, you know, you work on moving your hips and punching and techniques, but you do it so much in practice, you've done it so much that when you're in the ring, you're not thinking about it. You're just acting on instinct. All the technique is in there. And that's, I think, the best writers, the best producers, the best mixers are people that have built the skills enough through reps and focus that when they are working on instincts, it's that first instinct where the exciting stuff happens, where you're not overthinking and you just make stuff happen. So I just wanted to, I think it's a really interesting topic. I've never connected it to mixing before.
Thanks for watching. Just a reminder, all of this content is free. There's no secret knowledge here. We don't have sponsors. We don't run ads. We don't have a Patreon. All that we ask in return is that you share it with somebody. Thanks.